Okay, so today we're going to talk about writing a function rule, and part of it is writing a function rule from a table, and then we are also going to write a function rule from words, a real-life problem. So we are writing function rules. So let's go ahead and start out with talking about our tables. So we're going to just make a table here, just a pretty basic x, f of x, x and f of x, and what we're going to have is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let me just make my lines here to separate it all down for you. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and f of x is -1 and 0. And 1 and 2. Remember that f of x simply means the function of x, which is the same as our y. It is our output value. So we're going to first ask ourselves, what can I do to get from 1 to -1? So there's typically two different ways that you can get from 1 to -1. First, you could add 2, or -2 actually. So we could add -2, or we could multiply times -1, right? Because 1 plus a -2 is -1, and 1 times -1 is also -1. So once we have made that choice, then we go on to our second number. And this number is going from 2 to 0. Well, obviously, if I multiply 2 times -1, I should have gotten a -2. But if I add -2 to my 2, I will get a 0. So I know that my multiplication option is off the table. So now I'm going to check with my next numbers. 3 plus a -2 is 1, and 4 plus a -2 is 2. So I am going to take my x, and I am going to, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to subtract that 2, which we know that if we add the opposite, it would be adding a -2. So f of x is equal to x minus 2. So pretty simple. Sometimes they get a little bit more complicated, so we'll just look at a couple of different types. Our next one, let's just put it, let's go down. We'll go down. We'll start down here. Our next block, we'll make this, and this one will have an x and a y. This is x and this is y. And we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Oh, I have an extra block this time. And my y is 2, 4, 6, and 8. So once again, what can I do to 1 to get 2? Well, two choices again. I can add 1, or I can multiply times 2. Okay? 1 plus 1 is 2. 1 times 2 is 2. So now we're going to look at our second choice here, our second coordinate pairs, excuse me. 2 plus 1 is 3. That's not right because we've got 4. But 2 times 2 is 4. So we know that, once again, we're taking this one off of the table, and we are now looking at multiplying by 2. We'll check the rest. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8. So my y here is equal to 2 times my x. Okay, hopefully this is all making sense. We'll do one more problem down here. And we've got, again, x and y. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and I once again have more slots, and I've got 3, 4, 5, and 6, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so to get from 1 to 3, I am either going to add 2 or multiply times 3. So we go to our second one. 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. So we know that that one is off the table. Okay? 3 plus 2 is 5, and 4 plus 2 is 6. So we know that this one is y equals x plus 2. Okay, so hopefully we have a good idea of what we're doing there. Now let's look at some words and actually making some expressions from the words that we are reading. So we have a carpenter who is buying finishing nails by the pound. So he is buying nails by the pound. Well, he does a lot of work with nails, so obviously he needs a lot of them. Okay, so each pound of nails costs $1.19. So 1 pound equals $1.19. Okay. Write a function rule to describe this relationship. Okay, so we can do it in terms of y. Sometimes we find that we do it in terms of function notation, and we can use, let n equal the number of pounds, okay, because that's what our unknown is. We don't know how many pounds. We know that 1 pound is $1.19. So the function of n, the function of the number of pounds, is equal to $1.19 n. Okay, so now we have our function. So let's say they ask the next question, which they will. How much do 12 pounds of finishing nails cost? So now I know I've got 12 pounds. So n is going to equal 12 for the 12 pounds. So now I have 1.19 times 12. Okay, I'm going to have to do that math. So I'm going to bring it down. 1.19 times 12. And I get 18, 2, and 3. That's 2, and then 9, 1, and 1. And add them together. 9 and 3 is 12. 2, 3, 4, and 1. And 2 decimal places. And so my answer comes out to $14.28. Okay, so this is the rule that we're looking at building right now. Okay, so let's look at one more problem. And our next problem is, suppose you buy a word processing software package for $199. So our software costs $199. Really would have been so much easier at $200, but oh well. You charge $15 per hour for word processing. So we charge, this is how much we make, $15 per hour. Okay. Write a rule to describe your profit as a function of the number of hours you work. Okay, so let's start simple and say let n equal the number of hours we work. Number of hours worked. Okay, so that's pretty important. And we know that we charge $15 per hour. But what are they actually asking us here? They want us to write a rule to describe our profit as a function of the number of hours we work. Well, first we have to understand what our profit is. So let's say we only work 1 hour, okay? Our software cost $199. So we're not going to make any profit at $15 per hour because we've got to make up that money first, okay? So we've got to work enough hours to cover $199. Otherwise, we're not making a profit. So when we look at P of n, and that's the profit of n, we've got to look at the fact that we make $15 an hour, okay? But we have to take off that $199, otherwise we're not going to see what our actual profit is, okay? So hopefully you understand what's going on here. At $15 per hour, yes, that's money that's coming into us, but this is money that has already come out, okay? So it's going to take a certain number of hours here to cover the money we've already spent. Let's just throw 10 hours at it just because it's easy. So if we let n equal 10, this is 15 times 10 minus 199. Notice I'm picking easy numbers. So this is 150 minus 199. And my answer here is negative 49. So I am still at negative $49, okay? So we've still got to work more hours, but this is the function that we are looking for, okay? Always remember, understanding the word problem is half the battle. Knowing how it all works. How do you make a profit? That is all that, what goes into this, but we're looking for trying to make these function rules. Okay, so that's it. Hope it was great. Okay, thanks. Bye.